So, yeah. How you doing, man?
Doing good. Doing good. Thanks for having me down here.
I know it's kind of like a fun project. I got to figure out how to do this while we're live. No, I don't think anybody will watch, but it's all good.
Well, it's their loss, really.
It's brand new. Yeah, yeah. So it's kind of like, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? And I was like, well, I don't know. I think it's a case of, you have fun with it. You have open conversation. You talk about anything. Oh shit, my bad. Learning curves.
Yeah.
But anyway,
First time out the
because you're
box.
like, what are we gonna talk about? I was like, I don't know. So you were complaining about having a giant tires and then being sucked in water.
It's a little wet out there, yeah. Yeah. I left with enough time to get down here and missed. Well, I got here, barely on time, as opposed to early.
And by enough time, you left like what? So
like 7:05.
7:05.
Yeah. So it usually takes about a half hour to get here. It took what was that? 50 minutes, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, goddamn. As we had epic monsoon.
Yeah.
Right as soon as I leave my front door, just the bottom drops out,
Yeah,
and it's like, oh shit, I might be late.
Since we're talking about first world problems, like my first world problems this morning was like there's limited parking where I live, So and I would say 80% of the year I get to park like right there in front of the house. And last night I had to park like 75 feet down the road.
Man, that's rough. Yeah.
Yeah.
I put on sweatpants and tennis shoes this morning. The first thing I do when I walk out, off the curb to get my truck, step in a puddle. Like, son of a... Anyway. But like you said.
Yeah. But anyway,
the sacrifices we make to hang out.
And you're like, what are we going to talk about? I was like, we'll figure it out. World War III, are we going there?
I think more than likely, I think it's postponed. Unfortunately for me, I have enough metal in my back that the likelihood of me getting drafted at this advanced age is not very high. So, all you millennials, that sucks to be you guys.
So what I thought was funny is like, I'm not one of these like, oh, the media, blah. But at the same time, it's like for the last week, it's all about World War III, and then all of a sudden,
has it? Man, I feel like a bad American. I'm not even paying attention.
I'm not either, but I'm trying to be ahead of the curve. And then lately, I guess there was a debate like the past 2 days or last night or something.
Oh yeah.
And then
everyone's accusing everyone of lying to each other because they're all a bunch of politicians and you expect them to be honest.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Apparently, or Warren is saying Bernie was like a woman can't be president.
Yeah, I saw that. The self-professed Native American accused the old grouchy communist that he's sexist. I really don't know who to believe on that one.
So, Mr. Tim J.
Tim J. I love that.
Can a woman be president?
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Her name's not going to be Hillary Clinton though, and I don't think it's going to be Elizabeth Warren. But it could happen. It could happen. I think we need to bring back Margaret Thatcher. I think she'd be a great president.
The old Iron Lady.
I think I think she'd do a good job. She's really what we need to make America Britain again. I mean, great again. Well, whatever.
Make America Britain again. I don't know if that's the.
Is that that's not gonna resonate well with voters?
I don't think so.
I'm clearly out of touch upper middle class white guy, so I don't know what I'm talking about.
Well, okay, let's talk about that. Being out of touch and upper middle class, like in this age of real estate investing, with social media and saying, "Oh, I'm this, I'm that." Like, how much money do you have?
Not as much as I'd like, and more than a high percentage of people.
What does that even mean?
I don't know. I mean, liquid, sitting around on paper. I always like the on paper one. Oh, on paper, this project's going to make $50,000. In reality, it makes like negative $50,000.
Right.
So there's always projections and there's always reality. In the land of commercial real estate, we used to call it pro formas. In residential real estate, we call it making up your rehab numbers. Mm-hmm. And in real life, we call it some kind of fraud, I think.
Well, I'm glad you. So that's interesting because, like, in terms of the pro formas and commercial, and then when it comes to single family, because you're you could do pretty much whatever you want to do. You can make it lose money, but maybe you actually made money.
Well, yeah, that's the Depends on how, I mean, which one do you want to pick? Do you want to pick commercial or residential? No, you're absolutely right. And that's one thing that's really interesting in this business is there's so much difference between perception and what you're getting into. And it's hard to really compare apples to apples or even vet a project appropriately, especially if you're doing a partnership thing. Like if you're the only one on a project, then you either made money or lost money, basically.
Right.
But if you have a bunch of different people doing a bunch of different things, maybe a GP makes money on something, and maybe the guy that's putting up the money doesn't make money on it, just depending on how it's structured. So it really, yeah, we believe that honesty and transparency is always important with the deals that we put together, and we always, oh man, I love that. That's cool.
I'm sorry.
But it's just crazy what you see out there in the market sometimes in terms of, if you know both sides of something, sometimes one side doesn't equal the same as what the other side equals. How much do you want me to go into that? I mean, I'm not going to call out names, but we see deals that one side makes money, the other side doesn't make money, even though they're both supposed to be on the same side. And you're scratching your head going, I don't think that's really how it's supposed to work, but
right.
Sometimes it's the way it does work.
You want to see something cool?
Yeah.
I'm asking you.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. My bad.
It's like, damn, man.
Well, we got viewers.
We have viewer.
Yeah, that's me. I'm watching on my phone right here.
No.
I like watching myself.
No, check this out.
Are we phoning a friend?
Yeah.
Holy shit, that's cool. Who are we calling? You're not calling my wife, is she?
Hey, Pace, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. What's cracking, brother? You guys are looking really good on the screen there. I love that setup.
Oh, thank you, man. Next time you're in Dallas, you have to come visit us. Do you know Tim here?
No, I don't, but I'm loving his vibe, dude.
I appreciate it.
Well, yeah. Well, your episode yesterday with Steve Trang, I was like, ooh, look at Pace and Steve going viral. He had like 3 million people watching on YouTube and another 10 billion on Facebook.
That's huge.
I wish I could see the questions that Steve sees because he skipped over so many good comments that you were making and like just some funny stuff that you were doing.
Oh,
I
like
appreciate you being on there, bro.
When you pointed at the camera. Wait, let me. This is for you, Pace. Oh wait.
What are you guys talking about today?
This is you, Pace. Honestly, this is I kind of had an idea of doing like a morning type thing where it's just like you get random people on the thing here and just shoot the shit. But
some random person. Is that what you're saying?
You were the first call.
Oh,
we're all random.
I appreciate it. That's true. Yeah.
And Pace, you're the first caller. Woo. No, but yeah, but it was like a mixture of business, but current trending whatevers, but basically just I think when you do like a Steve Trang podcast or a Max Maxwell podcast or even a Propelio podcast, you're trying to go over the top, provide value, or over the top be a character. Whereas, like, you don't really have time to go down those random rabbit holes because you have so much things you want to hit.
Well, value is an artificial construct to begin with. So, what really is value, esoterically speaking?
So Pace, for something like this, it's just kind of like, what, screw it. Let's just, jump on here Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. and just word vomit. And if you get on a rabbit hole of just randomness, just go for it.
Oh my God, that's early.
No, I love it. I love the whole concept, like the whole morning drive thing. When you were doing this in your car, you had like the switcheroo thing with the GoPros or whatever you were doing.
Yeah.
I was like, he needs to be doing this every morning and doing it while people are driving to work. I love, dude. You have some of the best ideas. I love it.
Oh, you're so sweet. Well, next time you're in Dallas, I'll have to get you over here.
Jamil and I are going to be coming to Dallas, I think, in about 4 weeks. We're going to be hanging out with RJ Bates and some other guys here pretty soon.
Well, that's awesome. There was an announcement 2 nights ago. RJ's taking over the Propelio event. So, and then
Dude,
7 minutes.
So
and 7 minutes after that announcement, he asked me, "Can you continue running it?"
TJ, what's your Instagram, bro?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Shit, I don't remember. I think it's T Kosen.
I'm pulling you up.
Yeah, T Kosen. I don't think I'm not cool enough to have the real in front of it, so I need to change my handle so I can get more followers and stuff. Yeah.
Bro, I love it. Yeah, you gotta know your handle, but it is TJ Kosen.
TJ Kosen.
No dot.
Well, there we go.
TJ Kosen. You got the whole thing, bro. You
Dude,
are.
That's cool.
See, Pace is such the man that he knows your Instagram more than you know.
Well, I'm trying to hashtag. I'm trying to get a following. It's I'm just trying to do real estate.
Talk about. I was like actually like getting sucked in. You guys were talking about doing projects together, but there's two sides, and one person makes more money, the other person doesn't, and there's people that are working, they're not working, all that kind of stuff. I have felt that pain way too much.
Well, the thing is like we're going to go to that rabbit hole of that of value. That was our moment of being valuable on the show, and then I saw that you were watching. And anytime you get like a celebrity, you gotta.
Oh my gosh, dude! Are you kidding me?
Okay.
I need to get the GoPro switcheroos in my car, and then I can.
I'll hook you up when you're in town. So, and
Please,
when we're done, I'll have to show Tim your whole family. Like, so this dude,
Yeah.
he's got like 20. Like, they're all sisters, right? You don't have any brothers, do you?
No, I have 8 sisters and 3 brothers.
And they're all models. Like even Pace is like,
damn.
They're all like, you're just like, come on.
It was my
Better
number
looking
one
than you,
problem
Ryan?
growing
Yeah.
up. All my friends only want to be my friends. They could hook up with my sisters.
Well,
there's a problem.
Do your friends have sisters too? I mean, maybe you can work something. I don't know.
No, they didn't, dude. Actually,
Oh,
my
that's
best
lame.
friend, like almost a single, only child. I kind of missed out on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that sounds like a one-way kind of thing. So I don't know.
TJ, you have a pretty dope Instagram, dude. You have a lot of really good content here.
This is 90 days of games that
I
take
appreciate it.
500 days.
No. It only took me a year.
Are you doing? So it looks like you're doing flips. Is that your main focus? Is flips? You doing some wholesale stuff? It looks like you have cash flow, which means you're probably into rentals as well.
Yeah, sort of all the above. We do primarily, unfortunately, we do a lot of flips just because it seems to be the best way to maximize stuff. But we really take it kind of deal by deal, where some deals, depending on the acquisition price and all that, maybe it makes more sense to flip it. Maybe it makes more sense to dust it off and wholesale it. Maybe it makes more sense to wholesale it. We don't do a ton of wholesales just because we've been doing it a long time. So we have a lot of cash ourselves, and we have a lot of connections for getting partners on deals that want to, get a respectable return with relatively low risk. I mean, obviously real estate's always risky. So we do kind of all the above. I think wholesales is really the least implemented exit strategy. So I would say a healthy dose of flips and wholesales.
Yeah.
My background is construction, so I love doing flips, and I know a lot of wholesalers are kind of afraid of it just because they really don't understand that part of the business. But you're right, especially right now with the market going up. I see wholesale profits shrinking, but our flip profits are actually growing, believe it or not. And it's just because Phoenix here is so hot, and I imagine Dallas is kind of similar. You guys have just such a really good market.
Yeah, definitely. What we're seeing is,
and I also see you've played at Glen Eagles.
Oh God,
you're a big golfer.
That's oh my God.
I don't know if I'm a big golfer, but I'm I try to play once in a while. It's a little wet out there today. I was going to get out this afternoon, but it's going to be tough.
Pace's superpower is his ability to make people think he's buying houses every day. In reality, he's golfing every day.
What do you think I'm doing all the time?
Dude. So I'm a member at a club here, Mesa Country Club, and I get my bill every morning or every month, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to cancel this because I've gone 6 months without playing at my own club. I've been so busy.
I don't believe that.
Year.
I don't believe you've gone 6 months without playing golf.
I
went and played at Eric Sage's club a couple times, but we never finished 18 because we had other things we had to do. So it's been a bit. I need to get out there and hang out with TJ and play out. Where do you play out there in Dallas, bro?
Glen Eagle's a nice place up in Plano. It's about 10 minutes from the house. We love it. So I'm kind of not exactly the same way. I don't play as much as I should. I post every time I play. That way it looks like I'm playing more than I am.
Oh yeah, I love it.
I mean, part of this game is to look like you're not working as hard as you actually are, and the other part of this game is to look like you're working harder than you are. So you gotta, it's all about perception, right?
Is that in regards to golf or real estate?
Well, just both really. Well, golf's always hard, so it doesn't matter.
So Pace, one thing, perspective that I think TJ has that most people don't have, especially in 2020, is about 10 years ago you lost a shit ton of money of all your family on an apartment complex.
Oh, that was fun.
12 years,
no, that was fun.
Years ago?
We bought in 06. So I think tip 1 of commercial real estate is don't buy in 06 to 08 and don't sell 09 to more or less 2011, something like that.
That's your pro tip for the day?
That's the bro tip.
That's the value that we're bringing in this show. Don't buy in 06, 08.
The trick to market timing is to not screw it up.
Yeah. Yeah, so he
TJ,
lost like $1 million there.
No, it was closer to 3.
I see you taking Ryan out and shooting. You're like my kind of guys, dude. Golf, you're outdoorsy. You guys are freaking shooting guns. Your life looks pretty amazing, bro.
Well, dude, I appreciate that. Shit, I'm gonna Insta, what's it called?
Pace, how old is your kid? Because don't you have a new baby?
Yeah, we have. I have a 12-year-old boy and I have a 1-year-old little baby. It looks like you've got. Let's see. Looking at your photo.
Yeah, she's
with
gonna be
your wife.
1 next month. She's 1 on February 5th. So they could be like
Wow.
be BFFs.
Y'all could be y'all could be
They can
BFFs.
shoot guns together.
Her nickname is #CountryClubBaby. So anytime she's tagged in a picture, you guys can look that up and take a look. That's her favorite place. First place she's been, and honestly, pretty much the only place she's been outside the house.
Wow.
Well, that and flips,
Yeah.
you know. But in terms of like going out, that's her spot.
I do see the #CountryClubBaby.
So where do you see the market going, Pace?
I feel like we've got another 18-month run. I feel like
I think that sounds fair.
I think that I don't focus so much nationwide. I focus Phoenix, right? So it looks like you're in multiple markets, TJ.
No, right now we're just in DFW. We're looking potentially at doing some stuff in some other markets, but there's always kind of a time value trade off with doing that. But like Phoenix, DFW is definitely very competitive. So it's something we're looking at.
I'm looking at Phoenix. So check this out. We've got Tesla just announced $1 billion in infrastructure in one of our very, very like hole in the wall cities,
in
like
Phoenix?
20 miles outside. Yeah, right south of Phoenix, 20 miles. Kind of this crappy little town. And I have a couple of rentals down there that I took over a subject to, and I've got these crazy good mortgages. So I was like, I guess I'll take them. But now I'm ecstatic because Tesla's deploying $1 billion in infrastructure, and they're going to have 2,000 jobs, averaging $100,000 a year. And then I can't remember the name of their competitor. I think it's not Rivian, but there's another electric truck company that is also deploying $700 million into infrastructure. Then we've got another Apple big like campus gonna be built out here, and then Bill Gates and that whole smart city. You guys know about that?
Obviously not.
Well, so, the question I would have, Pace, though, is wasn't Phoenix like the hardest hit market in the 08, 09 crash area?
Oh, absolutely.
So why is
we were like the
is that why all these new infrastructure companies are going there? Is because it still hasn't recovered, or I mean, like I don't know, or are they just like, hey, we want more punishment?
I think the main reason they come here is because we have good weather all year round. It's similar to DFW, except you guys sometimes get bitter cold.
Yeah, like
we don't really get cold.
We're flooding right now, actually.
Really?
Well, I don't know flooding, but
it's wet out there.
TJ's got like 4-foot tires on his truck.
37s. I mean, yeah, it's obviously an overcompensation for something.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
So yeah, that I look at that, and I think the infrastructure it's like Open Door, OfferPad, Zillow, all these companies they launched here in Phoenix because it's easy to get around our city. Our weather's amazing year round, other than it gets a little hot, but still clear blue skies. There's very little rain, so you can do construction, you can build things, you can be out and about, and you can have big companies being built here without really any weather delays or anything like that. So a lot of people are moving here. I think we get over the next 10 years, we'll have 250,000 people move here from California. And so I hope it continues to go. But, man, we've gone strong for the last 10 plus years. So I don't know. I mean,
right.
You don't know.
So in 18 months, do you think it's going to be a nationwide crash or just Phoenix?
No, I don't think it's going to even be a crash. I think I would think that it's going to be a correction for sure. It's just there's no way that these prices can sustain and families can buy houses. But I look at the lending laws and all the stuff that was going on in 2006, 7, and 8, and I have conversations with people and they go, well, no, the lending is so much tighter here and there's no way anything like that's going to happen ever again. And then I have friends that are loan officers that are giving out freaking ninja loans again. They're doing no income, no verification, none of that stuff. They're doing it all over again. It's just very, very kind of low key. And they're calling it different names. So, human greed, you can never stop it. And I think we're going to have something happen in the next 18 to 36 months at the max. But I'm planning on 18 months and I'm just buying everything right now for cash flow. And in 18 months, I'll turn whatever I have to off and just sit quietly until the market starts rebounding.
But, lucky for you, unless you spend all your money on the golf courses, you have a ton of money and you'll be okay. Just like TJ, because
Yeah,
he's got all the money.
No, I just spend extravagantly, dollar in, dollar out. Typical real estate guy.
Dude, I've hung out with you before, and it's like, hey, pay your bar tab. You're like, I didn't. I ordered water.
Yeah, no, that's the way it usually goes.
I'm
Right?
just kidding. I don't think I've ever paid it. No.
I think you. No, I mean, well, we don't need to get into the socioeconomic. I mean, the financial.
No, well, because usually you always want to hang out at the Glen Eagle. So therefore,
it's easy. It's easy because I'm lazy. I don't like going anywhere else.
Yeah.
Fun. So I mean, for us, I'm kind of, as far as the country club thing is, I see my bill at the end of the month or whatever. I'm like, Jesus Christ, I spent whatever it is, and I think, wait a minute, it's literally the only place I went out like the entire last month. So that's pretty much the extent of my like discretionary spending. So I was like, oh well, actually, when you think of it that way, it's really not that bad.
Right.
But we go there because new baby, and she's super comfortable there. My wife's super comfortable there. We like being able to just walk in and sit down and know what we want and all that. So anyway, I don't know. You pay for convenience. That's kind of, isn't that the point?
Yeah, when we use it, it's like the best thing. It's my wife absolutely loves going there. She loves the people there, the challenges. This last year, you know how it is, dude. You have a 1-year-old baby. It's tough. Like that first 6 to 8 months, like right after you have a baby, it's tough to have a normal life.
Oh, 100. Yeah,
So,
100%.
I'm not a country club guy. So is pretty much every country club like Glen Eagle, where the men's locker room is more of like a club?
Well, there's certain differences in terms of hierarchy, I guess, to put it politely. And you can Google things like, you can Google stuff like
Pace,
that.
One of the things TJ likes to do is
Glen Eagle's a little bit nicer.
Yeah, like once a year, I guess Glen Eagle does like a housewarming where they just open up to everybody. And once a year, he takes his wife Sarah into the men's locker room.
Well, they have an annual Christmas party that everyone gets dressed up for, and you go to, and you hang out and all that stuff.
And
so they open up the entire thing for that,
yeah.
And then everyone needs to buy their wife something shiny because they see what the men's locker room looks like versus the women's locker room. And
like full bar.
The words like, you have a bar, you have a
full bar.
Yeah, you know, like a Grecian spa area. Like, no, I don't know what you're talking about, babe.
Once a year, the D word comes out.
Yeah,
divorce.
like, all right, we'll get something that fixes this.
Pace, do you have a bar?
What are your thoughts on the market in the next 18 to 36 months? What are your thoughts there, just for DFW specific?
Yeah, well, I think DFW affordability is definitely going down a decent amount. My overall thoughts about the market in general are, I think that just looking at market cycles in the last like 100 years, generally the next crash isn't the same cause, and it isn't the same market dynamic as the previous crash. And this one might be different because it has been such a long run up. But for the most part, you look at even, since the early 80s, you have the savings loan in the 84, 86, whatever it is. So that was a real estate crash. And I'm from San Diego, so I think we're a little more sensitive to big fluctuations as opposed to DFW that doesn't see a lot of fluctuations, and even Phoenix that was really hit hard in the last crash. But as far as I know, for the most part before that was just kind of a, follow the market. So the 80s was definitely a real estate crash. But it was caused by an implosion in the banking industry. The 90s was 99, 2000, 2001 was a big tech bubble crash. And then 2008 was, the stock market went down, but fundamentally the catalyst of it was, again, real estate because of the free money and the lending. So it's really my opinion that this time around isn't going to be a real estate catalyst crash. I think real estate will be affected. But I think this crash is probably more than likely going to be a second kind of tech bubble crash because you're seeing valuations in tech companies that just don't make sense. You're seeing companies that can't ever reach profit. Well, I mean, that maybe they can, but they haven't bothered to reach profitability. You see tech companies, honestly, some of the iBuyers in the real estate market kind of stretching, where I understand that their fundamental business isn't necessarily flipping or necessarily buying houses. It's all the ancillary products that go along with that they also make money on. But if Zillow wanted to become a title company, they'd become a title company. So they're walking this fine line between being a title company, a tech company, and a real estate company. And generally, when you try to diversify that many ways, it's tough. It's tough, especially if you're not doing, any kind of profitability analysis. So I think the next crash, that's a long way of answering the question, I guess. I think the next crash isn't going to be mainly caused by real estate. I think it's going to be mainly caused by technology. And that's twofold. One, partially just because of what I said about the last crash having been real estate already, and two, because the screwy loans that I started off doing outside of college, and actually, well, I was pretty ethical. I didn't do too many screwy loans, but the screwy loans in 2008-9 really had been working themselves into the system for 4, 5, 6 years at that point. Whereas now they're working themselves into the system really only in the past year and a half, 2 years. So there's not as much just stupid money. We literally had people refining, getting loans for 110% of the value of their houses because they were going to put in a pool or whatever. So we're not seeing, and with just stupid low credit scores. So we're not seeing that as big in the market as we had been. What we are seeing is a freeing up of lending in the business on the business side. So we're seeing a lot more kind of weird valuations for small business loans. So that kind of goes into, I think it's going to be a small business thing and a tech thing, a little bit more than a real estate thing this time. I think real estate will definitely see it cooling off. But so in 2010, 11, I bought houses in California at $45,000-$50,000 in areas that are now worth, again, 150 to 175. But the bank was owed in excess of 300 to 350 on some of these properties. So in California, and because of free money in the market, in California, in like Riverside County and stuff, we saw properties literally decrease 75%. We saw properties in San Diego decrease pretty much 40 to 50% across the board. I don't see that much free money in the market yet. I see it kind of working its way back in, and that honestly, that happens just cyclically. That happens every second to third market cycle. So I think we'll definitely be affected. I think we'll see a cooling off. I think we'll see days on market increase. I think we'll see a lot of flippers that really don't know what they're doing, that are over leveraged, start to get hurt, just because we're already kind of seeing that. Well, we did construction too for new flippers, new investors for a couple of years out here, and we saw that on a kind of one-on-one level. I think we're going to start seeing that come into the market more, and even start affecting some people that honestly, no offense to them, think they're experienced but really don't have a lot of risk management on their properties.
So one thing I'd like to ask both you guys is, because I know you do mainly flipping, TJ, and Pace. I know you do flipping, but most of your acquisitions are like pretty much, you already said, mainly subject to. So and I know a lot of your mentorship and training and I don't want to use the word coaching because I know that's not the route you're going, but you want to help. You ultimately just want to help people. At least in the wholesaling world. Disclaimer: I'm not a wholesaler. I'm not even real estate. Well, I'm kind of in real estate, but that's more of a secret thing. But
super secret.
I'll tell you later.
Okay.
Well, I'll tell you here. I don't care. But the wholesaling world, there's so many people out there. The competition is rising, or maybe it's not rising. It's just now that social media is there, so you're just more aware. But the barriers to entry to getting to wholesaling is there's really nothing. It's more of a take action and go. One thing that worries me, Pace, is subject to is you gotta have a head on your shoulders. Wholesaling, you just gotta have effort. And do you ever worry that maybe you're giving too much information to people that may not be able to handle it?
Yeah, I worry about that all the time. I mean, I've got, thinking about this morning and saying there's a lot of things that I'm currently doing, and even like the podcast I was on yesterday with Steve Trang, there's a lot of things that I talk about and I make it sound so easy because guys like TJ and I are out doing stuff, right?
Right.
And so for us, it's like putting like a pair of pants on, whereas other guys, it would take a year or two to even understand some of the things and some of the concepts that we're talking about. So definitely worry about that. But I also realize that the guys in wholesale, let's talk about this real quick. So guys like Jalen White, young kid, came out on the scene, did hundreds and hundreds of wholesale deals, came out even with coaching. And then what happened to Jalen White is he just quit wholesale. And the reason he quit wholesale is because he got sick of chasing that next deal, right? That's the wholesaler's model. Every single month, you got to press the reset button and start all over. And so what I'm just trying to teach people is, look, take some of the leads that you have from your wholesale and get the easy ones that you can take over subject to, rent those bad boys out and get yourself a little bit of cash flow so that when you have a bad month or the market crashes, you're not entirely reliant on wholesale. And I think that less than 5% of the people in wholesale will actually understand and take action at a level that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of a niche within a niche, if that makes sense. And I am worried about it. There are people, I tell them straight up, like, I don't think subject 2 is for you. You just started in wholesale and real estate. Subject 2 is more of like a black belt ninja strategy. And you should probably stay away from it.
Yeah, because that's one thing I worry for you, just because I know you have so much passion to help people, but and you can tell that passion when like the podcast you're in with Steve yesterday, you're just like you're like yeah it's great, I just want to help people, and I know you want to, because I've you're jump on here and jump on the phone call, let's go, but there's a lot of passion there, but yeah, I can't imagine. I just see it really being hard for you to tell somebody, I don't think you're smart enough for this yet.
I told a lady in my DMs this morning. I looked at her Instagram profile and I was like, oh, it looks like you got into wholesale 3 months ago. I go, maybe you should do that for 12 months and then come back to me. She's like, how much can I charge you to have an hour? No, she says, how much can I pay you to have an hour of your time? And I'm like, I'll give you an hour of my time for free. But I don't think you're quite ready for what I have to deliver. So and that's the thing, is like, I've been doing this for a while and I am not technically a coach, and I don't think that that's a bad name at all. I just don't have a program. I don't have any of that stuff. I'm just out to help people. But at some point, if I do start a coaching program, it has to be for people actually know what they're doing, not for wholesalers that just jumped in the game,
Yeah.
It's kind of like,
and the irony about that TJ, is now she wants you more because you're
yeah, that's true.
But,
so with like TJ, you guys are doing apartment complexes. It's the same thing as you might get a wholesaler that comes to you and goes, hey, how do I buy my first apartment complex? You're like, hold on, bro. Like, slow your roll a little bit. Like, you gotta crawl before you walk.
No, I agree. I think the internet, and especially Instagram, and the whole grass is always greener in somebody else's Instagram feed is definitely prevalent in the market. So it's kind of double-edged, because it's definitely inspiring for people that want to get in, because you can, inside of 6 months, inside of 3 months, 6 months, a year, you can 100% change your life. But at the same time, you don't discount the guy that's been doing it for 4, 5, 10 years that really has seen different things in the market, that, different risks or different whatever it is. So it's inspiring, whereas like, yeah, man, I can get in this, I can do this, I can kick ass, I can make 6 figures, multiple 6 figures, whatever in my first year. Yeah, of course. But that same person doesn't know what they don't know. So I think you have to almost kind of walk a fine line between, you want to be inspiring and encouraging, but you also have to be realistic about, what's going on. Maybe you shouldn't get into a subject 2 if you got no money in the bank account, because you're going to have interest carry. You're going to have, there's risk associated with that. And if you don't understand that.
We actually had a partnership meeting yesterday. We spent $29,000 yesterday on vacant house mortgage payments.
Yeah, that's insane. But
yeah, I mean,
hopefully you got more than that coming in.
Right. We have more than that coming in, which is great. And so when we make that payment, and it's not like they're sitting there vacant. It's like we just closed escrow on a bunch of them. And then some of them are maybe like just about to get rented out. We have a lease agreement or something on them, but they're not moving in for 2 or 3 more weeks. And so you have this gap of, I close escrow. Now I'm responsible for that mortgage. Guess what, dude? That payment's coming in a day or 3 weeks or whatever. And you're not going to have that house rented out the second you close escrow on that thing. So you have to be prepared for a month, up to 3 months right out of the gate before you get that house rented. So when you get 10, 15 of them lined up, $29,000 in mortgage payments is a big deal.
Well, that's interesting you mentioned 3 months too, because again, we're in a market where you stick something on the market to sell and it sells, as long as you're not overpriced and as long as you did the work right. You stick something on the market generally to rent, and I mean, November, December, January, February, it might rent a little bit slower, but generally it rents. But you do have to be prepared for 3 months of holding time. You have to be prepared for, if you're taking something subject to, market like Dallas or Phoenix, if the AC goes out, you probably want to fix that before you sell it. You don't necessarily have to. But
us,
that's a good point.
We're cleaning them all up.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of things. Is we're doing paint, carpet, and people think, oh, that's an overnight thing. And flipping and doing work that sometimes a $15,000 cleanup job can take 25 days.
TJ doesn't know work though.
I don't. Well, I try not to work and whenever I do work, I do post about it so that everyone thinks I'm working more than I am.
Right.
That's smart. That's the move. But yeah, sometimes our renovation takes 30 days. We have an $85,000 renovation on a group home. It's an apartment complex we're turning into a group home, and that renovation will take us 5 months. So I've got interest carry. I've got a private lender in that deal that we're paying interest until we basically get the project done and blah 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 and get his cash out. But you've got those payments along the way. So people hear me talk about, oh my gosh, Pace took a house subject to and turned it into a group home, and he's going to cash flow $4,000 net after all debt service.
Yeah, in 6
and
months.
And they think, oh, it's a great model to get to, but they have no idea that that's like freaking ninja status.
Yeah.
It took years to get to that point.
One of my favorite things is, and I'm fortunately, well, maybe unfortunately, I've never been at this place, but is seeing newer investors react to hearing like larger investors forget they own houses, like because they just, and like you said, you have a $21,000 carry on vacant house at the moment, but I mean, the only difference between that and having 200,000 or 2 million carry is just volume, so, and I know that's insane, but I'm just saying is like, but I don't know if, have y'all ever forgotten that you owned a house for a while?
So in high school and college, right? In high school and college, you have nightmares about, holy crap, I forgot that I took like differential equations and calculus 3 in the same semester, and now it's finals week, so I'm screwed and I'm showing up to my finals in my underwear. I mean, that's the nightmare you have when you're like 20, 21 in college, right? Well, when you're 38, 39, the nightmare you have is, oh, holy crap, I got 3 houses that I completely forgot about, and now I have to pay 2 points on an extension fee, and we haven't even begun renovation yet, and oh my God, a squatter moved in. Like, I literally have these nightmares.
But it has ever happened in actuality, though?
No, that hasn't quite.
What about you, Pace?
Stuff like that has happened to us. I just did a YouTube video called The Real Deal. It's a new thing that we're doing every Friday or every Saturday, where I go to houses that we own. And I get the address for my team, and I'm like, I've never heard of this house. And they're like, what are you talking about? Of course you've heard of this house, you idiot. And so I get out to the house. I was like, I literally have never heard of this house. And then I start going through my text messages. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm the guy that negotiated. I did all this. Like, you just get busy, kind of forget about things, and you're trying to build systems and operations, and you just forget things that you wish you didn't forget. So yeah, I forgot we had that house, and it had been sitting there for 3 weeks, and my team was waiting for me to get out and do a construction estimate on it. And it happens. It really does happen. And that's the thing that we're talking about here, is that you have to understand the risks before you get into some of these ninja tactics of interest carry. And guys, I got HOAs that I got to pay. I got private lenders I got to pay. I got, some of these mortgages that I take over are only PI. They don't have the taxes and insurance.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you're not escrowing taxes and insurance, come the end of the year, that's a big check to write.
Yes. And so that's the thing, is that people don't realize that. And I wish, to Ryan's point earlier, it's really hard to do a podcast like Steve Trang, where at the end I felt like we were just getting a ton of momentum in that show. And Steve's like looking at his watch and like, bro, like there's so much stuff here that people need to understand. We haven't even gotten to I would have loved to talk about the interest carry on these things. It would have probably scared half the audience off. You know what I'm saying?
And that's why I was asking about the fear of, knowing that being a even just basic subject to guy, you need to have, I don't know, let's just say at least 3 months of hardcore education experience just to have a basic understanding where you can do it without mentorship. And then you're on an hour-long podcast talking about it, and people are all motivated to do it, and they see your Instagram stories, which are awesome, by the way. But, and it's like, oh, I'm going to do subject 2. And you're like, whoa, you're going to kill it for us with legislation, all that other crap.
I think the smart thing for me to do, now that I'm glad you called me, because I think the smart thing for me to do is to create a YouTube video, like 10 minutes.
Oh, I thought you were about to say, I just killed all your education and all your free. It's like, Pace, why don't you do any education online anymore? Well, Ryan called me and said to stop, so I stopped. I'll be the Grinch of Pace's Instagram.
I think it's actually a good idea to do a video on YouTube. That's something I could just share a link with people hundreds of times. Here's the hidden ugly truth about subject 2. Like, are you sure you want to get into this?
Right.
And give people that edge, because really everybody I know that's successful nationwide, like look at you got Grant over at Propelio, one of the most successful guys in terms of creative financing that I've ever listened to. The people who are successful in subject to and creative financing are super ninja, very, very smart investors. And so I almost have to tell people flat out, this isn't for everybody. It really is not for everybody. And you've got to know what the risks are. And a 10-minute video doesn't do it justice, but at least would highlight a lot of stuff that we're talking about here. The interest carry, no joke. Our interest carry caused a 45-minute conversation yesterday in our partnership where we're like, oh, okay, well, that's a little bit heavier than it normally is. Well, maybe we should stop acquiring for 2 weeks so that we can get these ones rented out before next month our interest carry is $42,000. So those are conversations you don't want to have. They need to happen, and they're part of the behind the scenes that are happening all the time.
Right.
But these are the conversations I don't get into when you have a conversation with Steve Trang that's a very formatted show because he's trying to gain viewership, right? So I appreciate you bringing it up. It really is super important for people to know.
All right, I think you were. Did you just say basically, I'm not trying to get viewership? It's whatever.
No, I mean, I know you're trying to get viewership, but you're doing it in the way that I like doing things, which is like, let's do a natural conversation. Let's do a natural flow. Let's do more of the Joe Rogan style.
That's That's exactly.
I no joke. You know how I knew you were live? It's because I was watching Joe Rogan. I'm getting ready to jump on a plane. I'm watching Joe Rogan. I click on my subscription thing, which I subscribe to you. And I go, oh my gosh, Ryan's live. So I jump on there and I'm like, dude, this is just like Joe Rogan's show. I freaking love it. It's not.
Joe didn't call anybody on the phone though.
That is true.
I'm better than Joe.
So
part Joe Rogan, part Howard Stern.
Yeah, dude, I love Howard Stern.
The midgets are over there off camera. I don't want YouTube to sanction me.
That's for Ryan TV After Dark.
Well, if I got to jump on a plane here in a little bit.
Cool, man. Well, I'll let you. Hey, thank you for chatting it up with us for a while.
Dude, thank you for calling me, TJ. I want to hang out. I want to go play some golf when I get out to DFW. You guys up for that, or maybe we go shoot some guns?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll get y'all connected offline. And one thing I'd like to say before you jump off is you were asking about a link to send people. Well, Grant did like a 30-40 video thing for Propelio Academy on subject to, so you could just send them to Propelio Academy, and then if you ever want to record subject to content for Propelio Academy, I know Daniel will be like, hell yeah. So that's
I would love that. Yeah, I've watched all of Grant's videos. I'm a big admirer of Grant. And I asked Steve for his cell phone number so I could reach out to him, and we haven't gotten around to it. But Grant is amazing, and you got your content.
Why wouldn't you ask me?
I should have asked you. I think I was running with Steve when I was talking about Grant, where I was like, hey, you should have Grant on your show. And he's like, I had Grant on my show. How did you not know that? And I'm like, you know why? Because I don't think Grant is a huge social media guy. And unfortunately, I get most of my news, whether it's fake or not, I get most of my news from social media. So I kind of missed that wave with Grant. And so while I was running with Steve, he goes, yeah, dude, I'll get you his number. And I just haven't followed up with it. But dude, connect me with him. I would love to.
Yeah,
I'd love to come out to DFW, meet Jamil. We'd love to be on your show if you would let us and do the morning show.
Yeah, we'd love to. Yeah. And then I just got a text from Mac that apparently we're hosting a McGregor fight here on Saturday. What are you doing Saturday?
Oh, dude, you guys have a blast.
Calendar.
Yeah, you should fly out. Anyways, man, hey, jump on that plane. Thanks for playing with us, and we'll get you in here. And Ed Chambers.
Thank you, guys.
Ed Chambers says Pace is good people. So, and he has nightmares
I
too.
like Ed a lot. Ed's a good dude. He's always posting really good comments on stuff I'm on. I appreciate Ed a lot.
Yeah.
Ryan.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate you.
Yeah,
TJ, we'll
love
see
you,
you
man.
soon, brother. Thank you so much, guys.
Good meeting you, Pace.
Take care, buddy.
Appreciate it.
Bye.
Well, that was fun.
That was kind of cool. That was a little impromptu.
I know. It's kind of like, well, what are you going to do for an hour? Well, I don't know.
Oh, I don't know. That kills up sometime.
I know. Now we only
got 15 minutes left. What do you want to do? Stare at each other?
Yeah. No. But it was interesting because it's like, with the weather being bad, it's kind of like being like I got here about 6:50ish just to make, because I hadn't set up the studio. I had set up for like a single cam thing because I was trying to promote the Propelio event last week, and so I was like rushing to make sure I can get all these angles up. I had to push all that shit over there.
I was just trying to not drown on the drive down here in the monster truck.
10 feet up in the air. But yeah, but so like jumping on this, and it's kind of interesting that Pace brought up the Joe Rogan thing because that's kind of what I had envisioned. I mean, obviously everybody wants to be Joe Rogan because he has like 10 billion viewers.
And he's sexy.
Well, it's the head.
Yeah, I
but
think so. If I ever go more and like lose more hair, I'm just going to take it all off.
But I thought to me the whole purpose of this is one, I've been wanting you to do it for a while. We've been trying to build this since August, but I just think people. I say it all the time that people are full of shit all the time. Like everybody's full of shit, and I just wanted to have a place where it's just completely authentic. And I think it's a little bit harder to lie at 8 a.m.
Sorry, what are we talking about? I'm not awake yet.
Exactly. Normally you'd be like, I'm blah 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 #gains.
Well, yeah, no, you're right about that.
So and then Pace is bringing up some cool stuff. Where in your business, where do you see your biggest flaws? Like currently, not like building up to it, because nobody cares about your past. It's like what's wrong now?
No, that's a good point, because everyone has a past, and everyone isn't necessarily where they want to be. Like, I've never really met anyone that's like, man, I'm exactly where I want to be. They always have an aspiration to do something better, bigger, or different. So that's not a fair assessment, looking at where where your expectation was. I think my biggest flaw is in leveraging other people's time ineffectively.
Like
so,
not doing it?
Like just not doing it as much as I should. I still spend too much time negotiating sales. I don't particularly care for talking to sellers. Mm-hmm. I still spend too much time walking our rehabs. And by too much time, I say, I go out and see them maybe once a week. So it's not like it's a big time.
Well, that's one thing I wanted to bring up when Pace was on, is because you were talking about being in the business 4 or 5 years, experts, whatever. Just not you particularly, but just people.
Sure. And
pretty much every single like real estate investor that I know that's been in it 4+ years,
mm-hmm.
and I don't mean like I have a house that I bought in 80.
Yeah, I have a rental that I bought whenever.
I bought another one in 92. I'm talking about like this is, you're in it. You're going to events.
It's always interesting when I go to an event and someone asks me, even if because they know me through social media, and they ask me, "Oh, is that your full-time thing?" It's like, bro, that's the more than full-time thing.
Right.
Well, I don't exactly have time for a second full-time thing.
And I think, and there's no, there's no like I'm not trying to be disparaging on any level.
No, not at all.
There is different. There's obviously a class system of actual real. I mean, if you're doing real estate, you're a real estate investor. So please don't make me sound like an asshole too much. But you have people that that's your gig,
mm-hmm.
and then that's the gig I want. And then you have people like they really like their full-time job because they make 100, 150, 200 a year, and they have great insurance and benefits. It's hard to give that up, even if you are a full-time real estate investor.
Mm-hmm.
I would actually argue if you're in a position where you're making 150 plus and you have good benefits, don't leave that unless you just hate it.
Yeah,
because it's a lot of work to make 150 plus benefits in real estate.
No, it goes back to what he was saying, really, where it's the highlight reel on Instagram, on Facebook is fun, and it's cool and it is inspiring, but at the same time, it's a rosy picture of what happens in the industry, where costs go over, interest goes over, time goes over, whatever it is, and that part's a lot. You can talk about it and you can post about it, but that's a lot harder to really internalize and understand, because if you're working in your job, whatever the acronym is people like, just over broke or whatever, going from a job to self-unemployed isn't necessarily a step in the right direction, especially if you take a big pay cut doing it. Mm-hmm. I'm a big fan of, I think if you want to be successful as an individual, you do need to focus, absolutely. If you want to make it a full-time thing, you can do really well, and you need to focus on it. But I'm also a big fan of saying, you need to have your fundamental kind of costs covered. You need to have either some reserves, or you need to have, maybe your wife is working that can support stuff, or husband, or whichever one it is that can support stuff if you're trying to get started off in the real estate business.
A woman can be president.
That's what I heard. Yeah, I heard that.
Actually, what's funny, ironic, time out for a second, is, and I don't think she's like the person that I wanted to vote for in 2020 was I think Gabby Richards, is that her name?
Chelsea Gabbard, the military one or whatever.
I think so.
The former,
She was on Joe Rogan's podcast. That's probably the only reason I wanted to vote for her.
Probably.
Yeah. But she just seemed like a straight shooting, I like that. Like, and it's not like that's my front runner woman. It's like that's who I would vote for if she was in the campaign. I don't think she's still in it.
We have such that's a separate issue. We have such an aspect of identity politics and identity sub-demographics that you have to cater towards, type of thing. I would rather, I respect people for who they are, not what they look like.
Right.
Like, I really do. And same thing with politics. I respect people, I guess, for what they do, not what demographic they belong to.
Let's talk about how, as a white male,
as a white male, but I don't identify as a white male.
You are completely like I don't know. No, but the point I was trying to make about the real estate thing is pretty much anybody that's been in real estate for a minute that I know, like, hates single family investing. Like,
well, that's only because they haven't gotten around to doing multifamily investing.
Well, that's not.
You think 10 properties around? You think 10 properties around a metroplex is bad? Wait till you have 100 units all in one spot.
Right, but the multifamily that stains your taste buds is the fact that you lost $3 million.
Yeah, more or less.
But if you made $10 million, you'd probably love that thing. And if you trusted people to do the job versus, owning all that shit on yourself, because you already said your biggest flaw is leveraging other people's time.
What's interesting? It's easier to manage bigger stuff than it is to manage smaller stuff, because multifamily is a good example. You have 200 units somewhere. It's easier to manage stuff because obviously you can't do it yourself. You have to have managers. You have to have maintenance guys. And if you're taking on a large renovation project, you have to have people that are knocking out the renovations. If you're doing 1 flip, 2 flips, or even us, 8 or 9, then it's a lot. You're not doing the work yourself, but it's easy. It's a little harder to really leverage that to the next level. So I like to say, if you're building a construction company, it's almost easier than building a real estate company, because there's one moving piece, and that's whatever the product is that you're building. Mm-hmm. If you're building a real estate company, then not only do you have the complexities of the transactional relationship and the renovation and all that good stuff, but you also have now let's replicate that in multiple areas. Construction, if you want to do more tile work, you hire more guys that install tile. If you want to do more roofs, you hire more guys that install roofs, and you market more for roofs. It's a little more almost straightforward. I'm not trying to say that it's simplistic, because there's a lot of complications and hassles that go into that.
Right.
But it's almost easier to leverage a kind of binary product like a construction type of product than it is to leverage a real estate kind of product, in my experience.
Well, what's funny to me though is any level of experience, the thing that everybody needs is more deals. Like access to money. If access to money is fairly simple. I mean, it's just a matter of how much you're going to pay for it. And I mean, I can't find money. It's like, you can find money. It's just you might be paying too much or way more than you're willing to pay. But the access to money is there no matter what. The access to deals, that's what sucks. Because, like, I mean, even here at the Kinwa house, Christopher, he's like, dude, you're on Facebook all the time. I hate that shit. If you come across deals, like, pretty much everybody that comes in and out of this house, because nobody technically offices here, because that doesn't happen because it's zoned residential. But anyway, but everybody that's in here, yourself included, is searching for deals and buying deals. So if you just have access to deals, you could make a ton of money.
Well, let's look at what you're right. The money in this market's relatively simple. What's everyone's business? And I ask new people this all the time. What's your business? Oh, I love flipping. I love the smell of new paint. I love the smell of new drywall. I love the idea of picking designs and picking the stuff and all this. No, you don't. I mean, maybe you do, but you like the idea of the paycheck. I particularly don't really care for the smell of paint, drywall, or any of that stuff. Right. So your business, if you're doing this right, isn't real estate. Your business, if you're doing a volume-based business, is marketing. Your business is in the acquisitions and finding the deals. Our business, people screw up renovations all the time because they're not experienced enough to know what they're looking at. And I don't say that, it's not just the new investor. We go over budget on renovations all the time too. But we do that because we put out a really nice product that sells quickly, and because we buy really, really right. And the way we're able to do that second part, the way we're able to do that first part, the renovation part, is because we pay fair and we know what product works, and we know how to put out a good product. But the way we do that second part, the acquisitions part, where if we go over 5K, 7K on a project and it doesn't hurt us, is we buy right. And if there's a deal that's a little on the edge, we probably pass on it, or we don't bother touching it.
For you, because I know like pretty much everybody's buying sub 250 right now, just because they're like, hell no.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even though earlier we were talking about 18 months for Phoenix, did you have a number here in DFW as far as a time frame for correction, if at all?
I'm not particularly concerned with prognosticating out farther than the inventory that we have online personally. Again, coming from California, we're always a little sensitive of what the market fluctuations are doing. I don't think statistically, and I don't think looking at the way the market has been and looking at what happens generally after a market like we had last year, generally there's not a crash the following year, especially if there's an election year. I don't think there's going to be a crash in 2020 before the election. I doubt there's going to be much of a crash after the election, regardless of who wins. It's possible. But I think we're likely for a correction. I think we're likely for a softening this year as things kind of figure themselves out. And past 12 months from now, ask me 12 months from now, or ask me 6 months from now.
The thing is about like predicting crashes is eventually you'll be right.
Oh, 100%.
Like I used to Tim Harris, the guy I used to work with. Shout out to Tim. What's up, man? Anyway, like from 2012 to 2015, the entire time I was working with him, like he's like, it's coming to another a correction, a crash, whatever you want to call it. It's coming. Hasn't happened yet.
No.
And right now there's a lot more people are starting to say that as well. But from my experience, like I haven't looked at a stat. I don't look at graphs. I just hear what other people say and be like, okay, cool. And I could see it happening, but also I could see it not happening. Maybe it's just I don't care enough to because I'm not in it.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it's like you say it all the time. It'll happen eventually. But
yeah, well, there's a famous article that came out in the New York Times in 2000, right after the crash, 2008 or something like that. Prepare for the double dip recession. And no one remembers what double dip is. Right. The same as 3 years ago, no one remembered what full employment was. So there's always people that are permanently bearish in any market, and there's people that are saying, the run up is artificial, stimulus is artificially inflating the economy and all this other stuff. All that stuff may or may not be true, and it probably is. And the next crash is definitely coming at some point. But unless you're telling me how to make money right now where I am, then it honestly doesn't matter.
Well, I know like November, December 2018, there was some sort of, I forgot what it was, and it's we'll turn off and I'll be like, shit, that's what I was talking about. But it was like there was an inverse.
Oh yeah, the inversion of the yield curve.
Yeah.
Where short-term interest rates paid.
That's why
I think a little bit better than longer-term interest rates.
On, so you could finish my thought process. But like that happens, and then every time that's happened, there's been a recession right after that. And by right after that, that's relative.
Mm-hmm. So
that happened a year and 2 months ago or something like that. If my memory serves right, nothing's happened yet.
Right. And people like seeing one binary cause and effect. And a market as diverse and dynamic as like basically the world economy, there isn't a single binary cause and effect.
Right.
There's things that contribute to things. There's things that move things a certain direction. So a thing like that is maybe a bit of a leading indicator in a market. But then the Fed lowers interest rates that no one really saw coming twice in 2019 last year. So was that good? Was that bad? I don't care. How do I make money on that? That's all I care about. So is that short-sighted? Yeah, I suppose so. But I don't have the luxury of caring what happens in 18 months. We have the luxury of caring what happens in 6 months, in what the inventory is that we have now. But going back to that, so how do you hedge against that? Because everyone says, well, what are you going to do in the coming crash and all this other stuff? That's not the right question, because everyone says in the coming crash, I'm going to buy everything that I possibly can. Yeah, that's cool. Maybe you are, maybe you're not. The only thing that you can actually do is, if you believe that there's going to be a correction, what are you doing right now to prepare yourself in the event that happens? And in my opinion, the only answer to that question is to decrease your leverage, increase your cash position, and decrease your risk. And that's tough to do when you have an upward climbing market where more people are jumping in, where you have to say, maybe that's a marginal deal, or maybe we don't have as big a loan on that deal as what we could get, because maybe we might be holding it longer than we expect. So the actual answer to the question is, what do you do now to prepare yourself in a year or in 18 months if you think there's going to be a slowdown? Well, because there is currently a bit of a slowdown. And my real only answer to that is, at the bottom of the market, of course, you buy everything. That's fine. Good luck with that. It's tough. It's not as tough as everyone that's getting into it now thinks. What you do is you prepare yourself now by increasing your cash and decreasing your leverage. And that's really all you can do now, because you don't know the timing of what you don't know.
Right. And on that, like, I know Daniel and Grant over at Propelio TV, they've done several segments on what you do at the different market cycles. And regardless of where you think the market's going, knowing which particular investing strategy to do during the market is huge, is key. But I think also recognizing where you are in that market is also key, because you may know you need to drive 60 miles an hour on the street, but if you're going the wrong direction, well, whoops.
Yeah, absolutely. And for me, again, no, Daniel's done a lot of work on that, and I think he's mostly right in terms of what strategy works well in what market. But and what he definitely touches on when I've heard him talk about it also is decreased leverage and increased cash. Those are my answers basically for a market like what we're in. So subject to works well as long as you're not upside down. Mm-hmm. Flipping, and Daniel talks about this, flipping obviously works somewhat in every market. We've kind of done it in every market cycle ourselves. But the biggest hedge is less risk and less leverage. And that's not sexy. That's not sexy when you can say, man, I can pick up 20 deals in the next year and I can make 500 grand, $1 million, and it's my first year in the business. Yeah, maybe you can, but what are the risks associated with that?
So as far as so we know your current flaw right now, not adequately leveraging.
Yeah, toxic metal poisoning is my current flaw. It's titanium leaching into my spine. I'm kidding.
Is it really?
No, it's fine.
That's pretty.
My wife hates it when I say that stuff. I'm getting antimandium poisoning slowly.
So it's funny is I sent Casey Della a couple texts yesterday because we did an interview with Brian Rigbu, I don't know, a couple weeks ago maybe.
Oh, cool.
Back in December, and I just noticed that we had a couple of like very, very, very positive feedback in the comment section.
Okay.
Which is ironic because when it talks about marketing and engagement, like when you're trying to build like Facebook or YouTube or Instagram, like engagement is everything. You have to comment. You have to like. If somebody says something, you have to say back. So you have to have that engagement. But it gets to a point where like a Joe Rogan or whatever is, and you hear it from celebrity all the time about the YouTube comment section is the cesspool of society.
Oh, you think that's bad? Get on Twitter.
Well, same thing. It's the same concept. So like this one person was like, I love House Buying Brian, but these two have to be the worst interviewers of all time. And I was like,
I didn't know we were interviewing someone.
Well, Brian Rigbu.
Oh yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh right.
I was just like, yeah.
Oh, okay,
on
my
Propelio TV. Yeah. But no, it's not current. It was just so I was like, how do I respond? How to respond? So I just responded with, thank you for your input. And the only reason I bring it up is because I get someone
same guy watching right now.
Somebody just liked that comment, so I was like, oh, that's kind of funny, So marketing is all about not believing your own shit, I guess.
Yeah, I think so. Well, it's not taking yourself too seriously.
Oh yeah, that's the whole point of this thing.
Yeah, so many people in the business want to take I have the answer. I know that the market is going to whatever in the next year, even though I've been wrong for the last 5 years. I'm not picking any names,
right.
Because there's so many people that have.
Well, that's why I preface this whole segment. Of like I've been in environments for the past 8 years. People that I've worked with have said the market is correcting or going to crash.
I've told people on stage,
and everybody that said it has been extremely smart and well knowledgeable and have studied this stuff.
I've said it on stage before, and I think it comes from everyone that's been in the market since 2006-08 kind of has a chip on their shoulder, I think, which is probably unfortunate, and I think it holds it back. But I've told people my biggest failure isn't losing money in apartments or breaking my back and learning how to walk again. Well, not to learn how to walk again, that was actually a success. My biggest failure, I think, was in not recognizing how much longer this market run-up was going to be when, like 2015, 15, 16, I thought it was kind of petering out a little bit. So my biggest failure was not just going as deep as I possibly could in 2015, 16, and just buying as much as I could, flipping as much as I could.
Do you think it was a fear of being caught with your pants down a bit? Like being in a flip and, in a huge wave of just crashing. And because again, on the other side, like I was talking about Tim earlier, like he has stories where overnight banks were calling due all his flips, and he had like 40 something flips at the time.
Oh, 100%. No, one of the banks that we were trying to refinance with got taken over by the FDIC, their assets seized and given to another bank because they were insolvent. So this is what everyone doesn't talk about when they're talking about a massive 2008 kind of event. And again, I don't think the next correction in real estate is going to be a 2008 thing. I think the one after that is likely to be. But the one after that's going to be down the road, farther than the next one. Mm-hmm. So, no, look, buy at the bottom, fine. You can't buy at the bottom if you can't get any damn money because no one has any money.
Well, but again, though, it's like the money aspect. I talk about money's easy. It's just a matter of how much you're going to pay for that money.
Yeah, and we're really kind of privileged at the current point where money is easy, and that's part of why there's not going to be a huge crash this next time around because there's so much cash in the market. But at the bottom of the market, money is not easy, even if the deal looks relatively good. This house used to sell for $250. Now I can pick it up for $100,000. Okay, well, it might only be worth $125. So I talked about, we picked up a bunch of houses in California for 45 to 55K at the bottom of the market. They weren't worth, $250 at the time. They were worth about $100,000 at the time. So that's not a huge, if you keep them for a couple of years, and we did a couple, then you make good money on it. But at the same time, you're dealing with the market that you're in.
Yeah. Ed Chambers, he said he's predicting a 2029 Great Depression 2.0.
2029.
Yeah. Screw this 2020 depression. He's like 2029 Great Depression 2.0. Bread lines.
I'm just excited that it's the age of flappers, prohibition, roaring 20s. Is that what it is? I'm down for all that. Let's do it.
Back in the 20s.
Round two. Man, we're in the 20s again, right?
Here's what
I'm
people.
shocked.
I understand. Let's talk about, like medieval times and Scarborough Fair and wearing the flappers and trying to do the period pieces and dressing up and the Roaring 20s. All I can think about is those people. Their hygiene. Like, did they shower? Like, did they have deodorant? They probably stank so bad.
Dude, Joe Rogan talks about this. I know a lot on his podcast, but everyone idolizes or like
something else,
rose-colored sunglasses, something else, as an excuse to not be as whatever as they think they should be currently.
Right.
But realistically, hygiene, that's because I'm a deep dude, especially at. Oh, that's 9.
Yeah,
man. It's like wake up time now.
I know. Right? Yeah, we'll wrap up. You're like, we probably got to work now. Well, it's funny because now we actually have people watching.
Dude, there's no better time to be alive than right now. Partially because you happen to be alive right now, and if you weren't alive right now,
let's preface by saying no time. But if you're in Western civilization, if you're like in a war-torn country, your life still sucks.
Your life still sucks, but it sucks less than it did 150 years ago.
Well, probably the same.
I think less. You have running water now, hopefully. Well, maybe. Anyway.
Right. We don't know.
Well, we live in Western civilization.
Exactly.
There's no better time to be alive than... Okay, fine. Western civilization.
Let's get Moto. Get Moto. Full Moto.
Moto.
Zoom in on your face.
Oh, man.
Moto.
What's going on, guys?
Like,
comment, share. Please spam the internet with this video because it'll do wonders for our view count. It's all about the view count, not about the bank account. That's real estate.
Tell everybody. Tell your fans and everybody how awesome it is to be alive in 2020.
So if you don't think it's awesome to be alive in 2020, it's because you're not living up to the fullest potential that you think you should be either entitled to or don't want to work towards. So there's no World War II. You're not going to get drafted despite despite people being worried about it.
Again, I don't really follow current events, but when I do, like if I listen to CNN, I'll also listen to Fox News just to get, both sides. Something about like after the Iranian thing, the Selective Service website went down or something. Like did you not hear that? Yeah, so literally like after Salami, that's what Howard Stern calls him. After Salami got bombed or killed, literally all the millennial whatevers, they flooded the selective service site. It crashed.
See if they take their name off or something. I don't
No,
think it works
like trying to get details on what does that mean? What is it? You know, it's like, come on now.
Yeah, bombing one dude in the Middle East isn't quite the same as Pearl Harbor.
You know what was funny is another thing, and then we'll wrap up pretty soon here. Is and this was I think it was a tweet or an Instagram or something, but it was a fake tweet by.
Was it a Mexican word of the day? I love those.
No, what it was what is everybody worried about? World wars don't start from one guy dying. and it was the person that said it was
the person that said it Mr. Archduke Ferdinand?
Yeah, is Archduke Ferdinand. And what's funny is like it blows my mind that people just don't immediately get that.
People are going like, huh? Well, public education is
yeah. It's like, and if you don't know what you're talking about, it's like he's the guy that got assassinated and which ultimately started World War One.
It was a catalyst, yeah.
Right. But yeah. That was if you asked any book, because books, you can talk to books now. If you asked anybody what was the catalyst that started,
I still read books. I hear people, I read 100 books last year. It's like, you listened to 100 books while you were driving. Anyway, no offense.
If you're not reading it, it doesn't count. Reading. You just listened.
You can absorb information, but I get that.
Right.
But if you're saying you're reading books, I mean, you're on the couch.
Did you read this podcast? Did you read this video?
I'm going to read this on the way home.
I'll get a VA to transcribe it for us.
Oh,
no,
sweet.
But anyway, it was just funny because it was like Archduke Ferdinand, and people were like, that'll never happen. Da, 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 da. And it was just like, people, do you not understand the humor here?
Yeah.
Well,
and that's the same people. Oh, it's worst time to be alive or some crap like that. You see that all over we live in troubling times. 9/11 was troubling times. World War II was troubling times. The Holocaust was troubling times. Some guy that you disagree with on Facebook, get over yourself. No one cares. Like the British comedian says, I don't care.
Ed was saying, Franz Ferdinand's "Take Me Out" song really caused assassination. Looking back on things.
Well, I'm glad 105 years later we can look back with rose-colored sunglasses on the Great War.
Yeah. If you can't joke about situations where half of populations just get wiped out, I mean, what are you doing? That's the point of future,
yeah,
or present or whatever. Hindsight.
You gotta. Well, they say comedy. What Bob Hope goes around on tours in World War II. Comedy keeps things going when things are actually dark.
Yeah.
And the problem is when things are actually good, everyone shakes their head at comedy because they're offended.
Ed was saying, this guy believes in the Holocaust. Do you know Ed?
I don't think I've met him.
Okay, I'll see if I can introduce you.
It sounds like a Russian guy I know down in Houston.
Ed, I'll give you TJ's phone number. You'll have to text him or call him or something. Anyway, let's wrap up with some business or whatever. We talked about failures. What do you think you're really good at?
Legs day.
Oh, shut up. I mean, seriously. I already said this is supposed to be authentic, and I've seen your legs.
You're checking out my ass now, huh?
Well, your ass is fit, but your legs.
God damn, that's mean.
I'm just playing.
All right, we're hitting the gym after this.
Yeah, I know.
I need to.
I do too.
We're really good at analyzing deals. We're really good at having a realistic expectation of the risks associated with what's going on. That comes obviously with experience. It comes with the whole 2008 thing. We're really good at not losing money, and that sounds silly, but we're really good at having a realistic expectation of what we're getting into when we take on a transaction. Mm-hmm. And we miss once in a while. Sometimes we miss low, sometimes we miss high, sometimes we miss, maybe it can't. We got one right now that we think we can wholesale. We're probably going to have to actually put some work into it. That's rough. We got to put work into it to make $25,000 as opposed to just stick it on the market to make $25,000. So that's what we're good at. We pass up on maybe more than we should sometimes, but that's really where we try to focus. We try to focus on deals that make sense, and on when we're taking it on ourselves, or if we have an investor partner, really laying out, here are the expectations with where we hope to go on this property, but here's where the downsides are, where we might go. The problem is when you're working with some investors or some people that are fronting money, sometimes they only hear the the good and don't want to hear the bad. And that's something that everyone should be just cautious of when they're getting into real estate, is knowing what the downside risks are, knowing what the construction risks are, knowing what the code violation risks are, knowing what the days on market risks are. And then ideally having a good exit strategy as plan one, but having a contingency plan for plan B. And I tell people I'd rather play golf for an entire year every day than to lose $100,000 again in a year, because it's a lot more fun and costs about the same.
That's a really good point. You'd rather lose $100,000, or you'd rather play golf for a year than lose $100,000.
I can afford to take a year off
and
play golf every single day.
Yeah.
I'd much rather do that than sit around and lose $100,000 and stress and not play golf. Stress isn't fun.
Of course.
And it's a choice. You put yourself in a position to stress about stuff. That's a bit of a choice in this industry. So
final question. Well, actually, any final thoughts? I know we just kind of we're all over the place.
No, this was fun, dude. This is absolutely. I appreciate you getting me down here.
We'll do it again.
Pulling me out of bed bright and early at 7 o'clock in the morning when I should be up going to the gym.
Right.
Driving through torrential downpours, monsoons.
Yeah. Well, again, the whole point of this is to have casual conversations, see where it goes, let it go anywhere. If we stay fixated on something, go for it. Be real about it. Be authentic about it. Hopefully, I didn't distract too many people when you and Pace were actually talking about real stuff, and I'm like, "Hey, here's Ryan's stupid joke." That
breaks up the mood.
But that's what I do in real life, though.
But like you said, don't take things too seriously. Yeah. When you're getting in a groove, you're taking yourself too seriously. Sometimes you gotta throw some bombs.
So the whole point of it is because I know Jay and Marcia, I'm gonna have them on Monday or tomorrow actually.
Ooh, fun.
I'm gonna have.
Tell them I said what's up. I'll be asleep. I'm sleeping in.
A buddy of mine, Tanner Lawley, he's coming on. He's an artist. He's coming on soon. I'm gonna get Pam Goodwin on soon. Two of the girls that was working the front desk at the event the other night. They're both SMU marketing students.
Oh, cool.
And I'm gonna have them on probably next week, and just because because I do a lot of marketing, but I'm 39, and it's interesting.
Damn, you're old. Oh my god,
shut up. But marketing for
I'm almost 39, so
real world application marketing from a non-marketer. There's obviously gonna be insights talking to somebody who's 22, that's a student, and then also maybe we'll probably just talk about TikTok for 55 minutes. But
TikTok,
exactly.
Wasn't that a character on Wizard of Oz?
It's an app. It's an app.
Oh, it's an app.
Yeah. Let's not get into it. I'll reserve that for that show. But and then I have already I have my friend of mine, Christina Yebra. She's the CEO of Vouch, which is a dating app. Apparently Pace and Jamil, when they come in town, Mac said he would do it. So I've got a lot of people already scheduled.
Damn, dude.
Cool. Yeah. Well, it was I talked to you and I was like, hey, you want to do it? Yeah. I'm like, well, shit. If I'm doing it tomorrow, I might as well do one Friday. If I'm doing one Friday, I might as well do one Monday. I'm trying to get Casey Della, but she didn't answer my text. She doesn't like.
Oh, you only got 10 people lined up on day one, so you're now you're butthurt that you haven't got 11.
It was something like that. No, I have several people. Let me look at my calendar real quick, just for shits and giggles. So Jay and Marcia on tomorrow. Tommy, I'm having Tommy coming in. Tommy Merhot.
Oh yeah,
he's coming in next Thursday.
Talking judo.
Well, he'll probably just be evil the entire time. But and then so he's in on
I'll
Thursday.
Tune in for that one.
Yeah. We'll call you.
I won't get out of bed, but I'll tune in.
We'll just call you.
Oh, that's a good idea.
And then Friday,
hey, TJ, did I wake you up?
Yana and Natalie. And then the following week I have Kaylee McMahon, and then Christina Yebra, and then I have Ron Carlson scheduled for on February 6th.
Nice, dude.
So I've already got at least 5 people.
Hey, baby AF's birthday is February 5th. Bring her down here. She has a lot to say.
There's a button for that. Nope.
That's right.
No. There it is.
Yeah, that's one of the things she says a lot of.
Yeah. Clearly, there's a lot of production value here. Anyway, thank you everybody watching.
You can label those, right? You can put labels on those so you know which one's which.
Thank you.
I've been just saying I can buy you a Sharpie. I think I can afford a Sharpie.
I hope you can afford a Sharpie. So final question: what are you doing today to be an awesome human being?
I was gonna play golf, but
It's
things flooded out. So
can't you go to Top Golf and just drive?
I don't like paying for that. I already paid for it once.
Oh, there you go.
What pro tip from Mondays Live out on that house was you can't play golf on Mondays if your country club's closed, so you might as well go to work. So you schedule golf for Thursday, and then freaking torrential monsoon. You can't play golf on Thursdays either.
You should take that and then go to Canva and make an Instagram post out of that.
It's a really good idea.
That's a good quote.
Really good
and
idea.
like, because you know how people have quotes, like quote TJ
or
Tim J.
I'll do that.
Everybody, this TJ, but call him Tim J. He likes that.
It works. It works.
You hate that.
That's just because I hate you.
Anyway, well, I appreciate everybody watching. This was fun. Be on the lookout for Tim J in the future.
Like, comment, share. Post this in every group on Facebook until you get banned.
Did we establish what your Instagram was?
Oh yeah, TJ Kosen. Yeah,
there
TJ Kosen.
TJ Kosen.
Facebook group is Platinum Real Estate Investing Uncensored.
No one's watching.
No one cares.
No one cares.
Well, I'll post it there.
Oh, there you go.
We got some followers.
Yeah, there's a couple. That's the thing is like,
no, I meant I do.
My thing is like, and I say this all the time, and people care. I'm like, no one cares. No one cares.
I'm just gonna, you know what? For 90 Days of Gains this year, I'm just gonna post the British comedian dude saying nobody cares. I don't care. I'm just gonna post that every day. But 90 Days of Gains.
Move it like a different picture.
Yeah.
Like day 1, nobody cares. Day 2, nobody cares. But it has to change because you can't be lazy and just post the same thing.
No, of course not. You got to have new content that looks just like the old content that you posted.
Yeah.
That reminds you of who you are.
Yeah. Because when I say nobody cares, it's not like a mean thing. It's just like, I want the best for you, but if your truck breaks down and I have shit to do,
call AAA.
Be an adult. Yeah, be an adult. Anyway. All right, man. Well, thanks for everybody watching. Had fun. Have a great Thursday?
I think it's Thursday. Yeah.
Thursday.
Yeah.
If you're dry, stay dry. If you're wet, stay dry. If you're cold, stay warm. If you're warm, cool.
God, man, that was deep. That was profound. You said I come up with some good stuff. That was some good stuff, man. That was good stuff. Thanks for watching, you guys.